Welcome to today's JNF program. Please note that all attendees will be muted and chat and video disabled. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rob Kitchenoff. I am the immediate past president of the Eastern Pennsylvania Board of Jewish National Fund. I'm also a member of the Herzl Society. I welcome you to our virtual event this afternoon, representing Israel on the global playing field. Today, we'll be hearing from Peter Kurtz, the manager of Project Baseball and the president of the Israel Association of Baseball. We'll also be speaking with Team Israel outfielder and Philadelphia's own Jake Rosenberg, whose dad is very excited that he's on this call today. Peter will begin our program by giving us an update on Project Baseball in Israel, and we'll pass the baton along to Jake to speak of his experience playing for Team Israel. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Project Baseball, the program is a partner of JNF that is dedicated to raising funds to create fields and continue supporting the development of baseball and softball in Israel, giving Israeli children an opportunity to learn life lessons while building lasting friendships. Without further ado, please welcome Peter Kurtz.
Thank you very much, Rob. That was very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, for having me here. I'm in Israel now, here in Givatayim, just outside of Tel Aviv. The situation here is, I think it's a little bit better than it is in the United States with the coronavirus and everything, where today they open the shopping malls, they open some of the markets, so we're able to get outside. But let me talk a little bit about baseball, which is what everybody's here for. The Israel Association of Baseball is the IAB. We've been around for about 35 years. Today there are over 1,000 kids and adults playing baseball in Israel, from Beersheba in the south up to Metula in the north of Israel. Kids are from the age of 7 or 8 years old, come out to the baseball fields, spread all over the country, and stay there until they're adults. We have an adult league with 4 teams. The oldest player is about 55 years old, which is nice. And kids are playing all over the country in little leagues. There's one real high school type of field in Israel with lights, so we can play there at night, which is in Petah Tikva. It's in the Baptist Village, the center of the country. But there's also a field in Tel Aviv. There's a Sport Tech field in Tel Aviv. There was a field in Renana. There's also a field in Kibbutz Gezer. But most of the rest of the kids, they play in either soccer fields or empty lots or other kinds of areas that they can find to play baseball with. So one of the projects of Project Baseball, which I'll talk about later on as well, is to build fields for the JNF, is to help the IAB to build fields in Israel. We also send national teams overseas. We have national teams of all the different ages, from under 12, under 15, under 18 adult teams as well. I'm very proud of the under 18 team last year. Jake was actually one of the coaches there, because the under 18 team, which is all Israeli kids who grew up here in the program, who attend our academy, they won the European Championship B pool last year, which is the highest level that any Israeli national team achieved, aside from the WBC and the Olympic teams. And they won that, and that was a very good, very, very excellent achievement for them. This year, this summer, they're supposed to play in the European Championship A pool, which hasn't been delayed yet or postponed. It's supposed to be in August. I assume it's going to be postponed until next year. But that was a very good achievement, because those are all kids who grew up here in the program. We have an academy where kids can come twice a week. In addition to their local leagues, they can come to the academy and learn how to play baseball there and improve their baseball as well there. And the academy has really raised the level of professional baseball here in Israel. But you want to hear more about the WBC and the Olympic teams. The WBC is the World Baseball Classic, for those of you who don't know. In 2011, we received an invitation from Major League Baseball to put up a team in the qualifiers. For the first time, they were having the qualifiers. The WBC started in 2005. Japan won the first 2 tournaments. Those are national team tournaments. There's one unique rule in the WBC, which is called the heritage rule. And the heritage rule states that anybody who can get citizenship for your country can play for your country, for that country. So Mike Piazza was able to play for Team Italy, and Andrew Jones was able to play for the Netherlands, and Sean Green was able to play for Team Israel because Sean Green has Jewish heritage. Anybody who can show that they have a Jewish grandparent, which fits the Israel law of return and is allowed to become an Israeli citizen, can play baseball for Team Israel in the WBC. So in 2012, we put together a team. Brad Asmus was our manager. That was the first gig he had as a manager. Since then, he's been managing in Detroit and with the Angels. And I always tell him he has to give us 5% of his salaries because we're the ones who put him on the road to being a manager. And Sean Green and Gabe Kapler, who many of you in Philadelphia know Gabe Kapler, were also player coaches for our team. We had a good team. We had a very good team. Unfortunately, in baseball, you can have a good team on paper, but you might lose on the field. And we lost in the qualifiers in 2012 to Spain. A young 19-year-old kid named Jock Peterson, who's today an outfielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers, was then in single A, played for us, hit a shot in the 10th inning of the final game. We were sure it was gonna be a home run. The right fielder went up, grabbed the ball, and we lost that later on that inning. Fast forward 4 more years to 2016, we put together another team together with a gentleman named Jerry Weinstein. We put together a very good team, which had some ex-major leaguers. Jason Marquis was one of the pitchers. Ike Davis was one of the players. Ryan LaVonway was a player. We had the qualifiers in Brooklyn. The home team, the home stadium for us. The place was filled with young Jewish teenagers and kids from all the yeshivas in Brooklyn. And we won that tournament. We beat Great Britain. We were the last team, the 16th team to go into the main WBC tournament in 2017. The ESPN called us the Jamaican bobsled team. They didn't think we had any chance of doing anything. And in 2017, we got to Korea and we ended up defeating Korea. 12 hours later, we defeated Taiwan. So we were 2-0 before anybody else had even played any games in the WBC. The third game, we defeated the Netherlands and we came in first place. We went to Japan and we ended up defeating Cuba. So those 4 teams that was the height of our play. We were looking towards Los Angeles in the finals. Unfortunately, we came down to earth and we lost to both Holland and Japan the next 2 games. We ended up coming in 6th place, which was very reasonable and very happy. We were very happy to get to 6th place. 2 months before, 10 players between the 2 tournaments, between the qualifiers and the main tournament, 10 players came to Israel. They came to visit the country. There was a very famous documentary movie called Heading Home. I'm sure many of you have seen that, of their time in Israel and then going around Israel and seeing all the sites and being with all our kids and our kids meeting them. And that was an excellent time. And 2 months later, they came to Korea and to Japan and were just talking to all the other members about what it was like to be in Israel, how incredibly inspirational it was to be there, to see what's going on in baseball there, to see what's going on with the kids there. Everybody on that team felt something inside of them. It wasn't like they were playing before for teams, for college teams even, or for minor league teams or for major league teams. They were now playing for their country, for their heritage. And they really felt that. They really felt that with Israel across their chests, standing there for Hatikva. And they felt very much part of being the Israel experience. Fast forward another year, in 2017, we went to the European Championship. Remember, Israel has the WBC team, which is based on the heritage rule, but we also have a national team, which is based on being nationals, being Israeli citizens. The other gentleman who'll talk later, Jake, came to Israel a couple of years later and became an Israeli and lived in Israel. But we also have Israeli ball players who were there. 2 of them are in colleges now in the States. 2 of them went to the University of San Diego for later college, and they're now playing. And one of them is working for the Seattle Mariners as a double-A pitching coach. So our Israeli national team went to the European Championships in 2017. We ended up in 2nd place. This is the B pool. This is not the A pool even. This is just the B pool. And we ended up in 2nd place. And I found myself in a situation where I knew that baseball was coming back to the Olympics. And I was looking around and trying to see how we could put together a better baseball team, made of Israeli nationals who could play and compete and maybe get to the Olympics. The road was long. In the summer of 2019, we had to go to the B pool. We had to win the B pool. 3 weeks later, we had to win the playoff of the B pool. We then had to go to the A pool, and we then had to go to the European African Olympic qualifiers. That was all. 4 tournaments in 3 months. I went to our coach at the time, Eric Holtz, and I said to him, listen, this is what we have to do. You know, it's not so difficult. And he looked at me and said, you're crazy. He said, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I've got it. I'm with you. A few months later, I convinced 10 of the players from the WBC team to make Aliyah, to come to Israel, to make Aliyah, for the chance, for the opportunity maybe of being able to get to the Olympics. Right away, they all accepted it. They all came readily on Aliyah. It's not an easy process. There's a lot of paperwork to fill out. There's a lot of forms you have to fill out. You have to get a letter from a rabbi. There's a lot of, it's a process, it's a procedure. And then you have to come to Israel. And you have to go to the Interior Ministry, and you have to be there, and you have to get and talk to them for a few hours. You have to fill out all kinds of forms, and then you get your Israeli passport. And these 10 guys did it with the notion of playing baseball for us. They were all guys who were playing minor league baseball or playing independent league baseball, but they knew that they would want to play for Israel the following summer, the summer of 2019. Jake also came to Israel at that time. Jake was also living in Israel. He made Aliyah to Israel. I'll let him tell his story a little bit, but he also joined the team at that time. We had other local players on that team. And in June of 2019, we went to the European Championship B-Pool tournament in Blavugrad, Bulgaria. You can imagine that's a hotbed of baseball in Europe. Blavugrad, Bulgaria, there's maybe about 10,000 people in the whole town. They had sheep who were taking care of the field. They were cutting the grass. It was actually a beautiful location. It was a beautiful location, the mountains and everything. We had a good time there for about 10 days or so. We had 10 American Israelis on the team, 10 American Olim Chadashim on the team, but the other teams also had Americans. The Greek team was filled with Greek Americans who had gotten Greek citizenship. The Irish team was filled with Irish Americans who got Irish citizenship. The Russian team had 6 Cubans on the team. I don't know how the Cubans got Russian citizenship, but somehow they did. But in the guys, some of the guys went back to the States, some of the guys came back to Israel. And 3 weeks later, we had to go to Lithuania for a 3-game playoff against Lithuania. The only problem was Lithuania didn't have a baseball field. The only baseball field they had was from 5 years before. It was in the middle of a racetrack, of a horse racetrack. It was the first time the lights were pointed outside of the baseball field because they were pointed to the horse racetrack. They weren't pointed inside the field. So we played there during the day. We won 2 out of 3 games. We actually played only 2 games. We won the first 2 games. We defeated them. 6 weeks later, we had to go to Germany for the European Championship A pool. And this was part of the way of the road that we went to. I brought a few more guys on Aliyah, a guy named Danny Valencia. Some of you may know Danny Valencia. He actually played down the road from you in Baltimore. Nick Rickles we brought. We brought a few more guys on Aliyah. They joined the team. The team was much stronger, but we were playing against much stronger opposition as well. We were playing against the Netherlands, against Italy, against Spain. Those are the strong European teams. We were the last team to qualify for the European Championship. We had to come in on the top 5. There were 16 teams altogether. The top 5 teams would go a week later to Italy to the European Olympic qualifier. So we won our first 4 games. We saw we were guaranteed to win among the top 5. We sort of put down the gas a little bit. We didn't put in our best pitchers. We didn't put in our best players. We ended up losing to the top 3 teams, to Spain, to Holland, and to Italy, and we came in 4th place. And 4th place was enough. And 3 days later, we all flew to Italy. And a few days later, we had the European Championship, the European qualifiers in Italy. South Africa joined us. So it was the European African Olympic qualifiers. And the one team would go up from there to the Olympics. We knew we had a shot. We knew we had a chance. Pitching was important. Pitching was crucial. We played Spain the first game. We defeated them 3-0. The same Spain team, Spanish team that had defeated us a week earlier. The next day we played the Netherlands, who were the European champions. Just a week earlier, they had won the European Championship. We ended up defeating the Netherlands 8-1. And the third game was against Italy. And this was in Italy. So there were a couple of thousand people in the stands. Italians loved, this is before the Corona, obviously. But the Italians love their baseball, and they love their Italian team. It was a very close game until the 8th inning. In the 8th inning, we blew it open, and we defeated Italy 8-2. And we knew that after 3 games, we were sitting pretty. We had to defeat one of the final 2 games, which was either the Czech Republic or South Africa. And as you would have it, the next day we played the Czech Republic, and obviously we lost, just to make it exciting. So we lost to the Czech Republic. And the following day, we played South Africa. We handily defeated South Africa. And all of a sudden, Team Israel found itself against all odds as the Olympic representative for Europe in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics at that time. Now it's the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in 2021. I just want to show you maybe just a short clip of the final out of that game against South Africa and how our guys celebrated. So if you can show the video now. Here we go. This is Shlomo Limpitz, 40 years old. He's been on 30 Israeli national teams. There's no volume here, but and I guess it's going a little bit slow here. But this is the final out. Simon puts the ball in his pocket, and everybody goes running on the field. I guess Jake must be in that pile somewhere. Try to look from there. Okay, there's no, this is just mine. Oh, it's only mine. Is your film running well? Because mine's stopping. Okay. So there's everybody. There are our guys, very happy, and on our way to going to the Olympics. Okay. Anyway, I got back to Israel and I met with the Israeli IOC, with the Israeli Olympic Committee. I'd met with them previously. I met with them a couple of times. I told them exactly what our journey would be, what the road would be, what we had to do, and they were all very interested. They said, I asked them for financial support. They said, we can't give you any financial support yet. First, make it to the Olympics. I said, but we just came in 6th place in the WBC. This was 2 years before. And they said, I'm sorry, but if you're an Olympic team, then it's something different. Israel hasn't had an Olympic team since 1976, when they sent a team to Montreal, a soccer team. This is the first time Israel has a team in the Olympics, in a team sport with a ball. Okay, because they also have a synchronized swimming team. But this is the first team sport that they have. And they said to me, listen, if you get it there, then we'll have some support. I came back after that victory. They were very happy. At the time, there were 55 Olympians going to the Olympics for Israel. Some more have since qualified, but I brought them an additional 24 players. So I added 50% more Olympians to the delegation, to the Israeli delegation, which this year, whenever we go to Tokyo, will be the largest delegation ever. There's going to be about 80 athletes altogether. Obviously, funding is going to be difficult. There has not been an Israeli government for over a year. There still is not an Israeli government, although there is talk about them being inaugurated or sworn in next week. But there's still no sports minister. So right now, the funding is very, very little, very, very thin over there. But we're trying to get more funding for that. The guys from the IOC in Israel even told me a year before they had to fill out a form for the Tokyo organizers and say which events they thought that Israel would qualify in the Olympics. So obviously they filled in gymnastics and they filled in judo and they filled in windsurfing. And also in baseball, they said, okay, Peter said, he would do it. So they put in a baseball team. This was a year before. And the Japanese sent them back the form and said, you must be kidding. You're not going to get a baseball team into the Olympics, not from Israel. So in the end, they ate their hats about that. In any case, since then, obviously, as you have all heard, that the Olympics have been postponed for 1 year. It will only be in 2021. It will be the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in 2021. It'll be basically a cut and paste of the same dates and everything. But we have an opportunity now to bring a few more players. And there was one player in particular who retired about 3 months ago, probably the best Jewish player who was playing at the time. And he came to Israel on March 3rd, which was just before Purim, just before the quarantine. He actually arrived, landed in Israel at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And anybody who landed in Israel after 8 o'clock at night had to be in quarantine for 2 weeks before he could walk around the streets of Israel. So he missed that by 4 hours. He ended up staying in the Don Hotel in Tel Aviv. The Don Hotel in Tel Aviv, there were 3 rooms occupied. The rest of the hotel was completely empty. He was with us for 3 days. He went to the Interior Ministry. They said you have to put on gloves and you have to put on a mask, which today is very common. But 3 months ago, it was not very common. And he came to the Interior Ministry with a glove and a mask. And he got his Israeli passport. And he also did some clinics for our kids, and they were thrilled by it. If you can show the other video, you can see exactly who that secret person is. This is a video we did. is an Israeli. Ian Kinzer is an Israeli. He'll be our starting second baseman, and he is definitely a very important addition to our team, to our Olympic team, and to our Olympic efforts. There's no doubt about it. Why is it important for us? Why is it important for the IAB to go to the Olympics, aside from the fun and aside from the medal and everything? It's important in Israel because when we came in 6th place in the WBC, we got some support, we got some publicity. People in the sports world knew about us, but the average Israeli did not hear anything about baseball in Israel. They know a little bit about baseball. They know about it from the States. They don't know that it's played in Israel. There's no doubt that the Olympics is different. The Olympics is something that everybody hears about in Israel. We've had 9 Olympic medals. Everybody in Israel knows about Yael Arad. A lot of judo. Judo became hugely popular in Israel after we won our trophies, our medals. Yael Arad, and after her, some people. So there's people definitely know about the Olympians more in Israel, and this will help us really grow baseball in Israel, because our main task is to grow baseball in Israel. It's now 1,000 kids. I'm hoping after the Olympics it'll be 2,000 and 3,000 kids. So on the one hand, there's the Olympic competition. On the other hand is the building of fields. And this is where the JNF comes into play. The JNF has been partnering together with the IAB for the last 10 years, raising money through Project Baseball to build fields in Israel. We're finally at a stage where we're starting to build the field that we designed to build in Beit Shemesh. If you can show just some of the pictures now of what Beit Shemesh looks like today, we can show you a couple of pictures of an empty field right now. This is just an empty lot. In the next few weeks, the tractors will go up there and we'll start building what we'll see next, which is a rendition of the baseball field, of what it will look like. Go to the next pictures. Next picture. Okay, there we go. That's a rendition of our Field of Dreams. You can see some of the houses there. This is in the middle of Beit Shemesh, which is our biggest area. There's about close to 200 kids playing baseball in Beit Shemesh, but they play in all the kibbutzim and moshavim around Beit Shemesh, and not in the city. This is a baseball field right in the middle of the city, in the middle of a place called the Olive Garden. And it's very important for us to build this field there. And as they say, the adage in baseball, you can go back to the regular view. The old adage in baseball, if you build it, they will come, is completely true. So what we're doing today is, on the one hand, trying to get the top part of baseball, which is the Olympic team, getting to the Olympics. We got there already. Getting a medal, trying to get a medal in the Olympics. By the way, there's only 6 teams in the Olympics, and there are 3 medals. So we have a good chance of being one of those teams. On the other hand, building the field in Beit Shemesh and also building the field in Renana. Phase 1 will be $1 million that we'll be putting into this field. The $1 million is from the JNF, from Project Baseball. Excuse me, $1.1 million. Because the $1 million is from Project Baseball, and the $100,000 is our winnings from the WBC. So that money is going into the field for phase 1. I hope that by the end of the year, we'll be able to have a field which is basically fenced in and flattened, because it's a big ditch area there. So it all has to be flattened. And we can basically play some baseball there. Phases 2 and 3 are to put dugouts, to put lights, to put stands, to put a clubhouse. And we're looking now to get money, to get donations for phases 2 and 3. We're also building a field in Renana, which is just north of Tel Aviv. Renana we're doing it together with the municipality there. So we're putting in 1/3, the municipality is putting in 1/3, and the sports ministry is putting in 1/3. And once we have these 2 fields built, 2 good fields in Israel, we really hope, and winning the Olympics, winning a medal in the Olympics, we really hope that there'll be a chance to double and triple the number of kids playing baseball in Israel today. That's all I have to say. I'd like to give Jake the chance to talk about his own personal experience in Israel and what it was like for him, and then we can answer some questions.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so my path to Israel, I guess, was a lot different than most of the guys on our team. You know, after college, I went to Ithaca College, a D3 school. You know, most of the guys on our team went D1 and got drafted, played affiliated ball or some type of pro ball. And I guess I was kind of the outlier because, you know, I played D3 ball, never got drafted, never played affiliated ball, but I knew I wanted to continue my baseball career doing something, you know, whether that be coaching or playing. So, you know, I talked to my dad about it, and then he, you know, knew Peter from his trips to Israel and whatnot. And I got in contact with Peter, and, you know, I found out about the whole IAB and, you know, what they're about and how they have, you know, teams in Tel Aviv and all around the country. So I figured it'd be a great adventure to travel to Israel for a year, coach the youth teams, some of the national teams maybe if I got the chance, but just kind of go on an adventure for a year. I never got to go abroad in college because of baseball, so I figured this would just be a great opportunity. So I get to Israel in September, or I'm sorry, late August of 2019, or 2018, I'm sorry. And yeah, I kind of just went from there. I kind of, I talked to Peter. I knew they had a league out in Israel. It's called the Premier League. It's only made up of 4 teams. There's basically anybody in Israel who wants to play baseball who's above the age of 18, can join the league and just, participate. So I thought that would be a great opportunity. I was able to coach anywhere from kids from 7 to 18 around the Tel Aviv area because, that's where I was living at the time. So that was, a very cool experience. But I didn't really know what to expect. I never really heard of baseball in Israel besides the WBC team a couple years ago. So, I had this opportunity to help grow baseball in Israel. So I don't know if you guys know, but Israeli kids are very different than American kids. You just have to be, more stern. It's just a different way of teaching baseball. So they taught me a lot as well as I taught them a lot. But, it started off in the fall. I didn't really know about this national team. I kind of, Peter mentioned that they might put together this national team to try to go to the Olympics. I thought, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. But, I'm not an Israeli citizen. I don't really think I'm going to stay here for much longer. It was kind of just going there for like either 3 months to 6 months, just kind of, for an adventure. But, I heard this opportunity and I thought I couldn't really turn it down. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. The Olympics are never really baseball is never in the Olympics. So, Peter told me about this opportunity. I thought, yeah, absolutely. But the thing was, he never saw me play. He never saw like the talent that I possessed. We always joke that Peter's the best fantasy baseball player, in the world because he put together this great team of guys that, played high D1 ball or affiliated ball. So I thought, to be on this team, I'll have to, showcase my skills, and that's like that's what I did in the Premier League. And thank God, Peter and the other coaches saw that I had the skills, and they put me on the team. So, fast forward a couple months, it's about, I think we're starting the spring, and we have a couple national teams who we send, to different countries every year to play in the national tournaments. Luckily, I was selected to be the assistant coaches for both the 16U national team and the 18U national team. So the 16U national team, we took to Prague in early April right over Passover. And, I had no idea what to expect. It was my first time really traveling abroad. I had to supervise, 15, 16 kids who were just a couple years younger than me. And I thought I got along better with them than I did with the parents, honestly. But no, it was a great experience. We took them to Prague. We didn't have many expectations because it fell over Passover. A lot of our guys weren't able to actually come and play, which was a shame. But, we went to Prague, and that was my first real experience with Israel baseball, representing Israel on a national stage as a coach. So it was just a great experience. I think we came like 16th out of 20th place, but we didn't do very good. But I've never seen a group of kids have a better time losing. I mean, they played their hearts out. It was a great time. They did a lot better than they expected. So we went home with smiles on our faces. And then fast forward a couple weeks later, I get asked to help coach out this 18U team. And this is the first time that they ever sent ever had an 18U team, especially since Olympic qualifiers. So I thought, another just great opportunity. So I took it. We went to Sweden right after our first tournament in Bulgaria. So I guess I'll go back to our Bulgaria trip. So as Peter mentioned, the national team, we were in Bulgaria. We didn't have many expectations other than we thought we had a good team on paper, but none of us really knew each other. We met maybe once or twice, but that was about it. So we didn't really know how we would gel together. But after we had 3 days of training camp, we all had just one common goal, and to represent Israel, on the biggest stage possible, and just win. And we came out and did that. We shocked the Bulgarian country. We came out Bulgaria on top. We didn't lose a game. We had a close game at the end against Russia, but that was kind of the only close game we had. So right after we won that is when I went right from Bulgaria to Sweden to coach his 18U team. So this 18U team, they didn't have many high expectations either. People were just telling them, yeah, just try your best, go have fun, just try to, show that Israel knows how to play baseball. So like, a lot of them just took it to heart. They're like, oh yeah, we obviously know how to play baseball. We think we're very good. We can compete with the best. So us winning in Bulgaria gave them that confidence to go into Sweden and just show that they were better than, everybody else. As Peter mentioned, everybody on that team was from Israel. So to have that whole Israeli team just come out on top was tremendous experience. And then fast forward a 2 more months, I went back to Israel, blah, 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 kept practicing, stayed in shape. And then I actually came back home in August of 2019. And then in September, we had the Olympic qualifiers, or the 8 pool in Germany. And then, if we did well in that, went to the Olympic qualifiers, as Peter mentioned. But just to backtrack of, what it really meant to play for Team Israel, like I said, I had no idea. I kind of went to Israel just an adventure. I didn't expect to come out as an Olympian. That was the last thing on my mind. I thought I'd play baseball, for a couple months, coaching kids, have a good time, make lasting memories. And then it was that times 1,000. And I can't thank Peter enough for, allowing me to have the opportunity to be on the team and, just meet a great group of guys who just came together as one team and represented Israel on a national stage. And, no one really had any high expectations of us. We kind of just said, one game at a time, we'll have one tournament at a time. And the next thing you know, we're in Italy in the European qualifiers. And, once we got there, I think we all thought that, there were some better teams than us, some teams that had beaten us in the previous tournament. But, when it came down to it, we just had the most pride out of anybody. None of us, besides the 4 Israeli-born players, we weren't Israeli a couple of years ago. We were just Americans who just loved playing baseball and were Jewish and just wanted to come together to represent Israel. And that's what we did. And I want to, obviously they're on the Zoom call, but the 4 Israelis who were on the team, have been on the team for years and years, they really set the standard of what it's like to play for Team Israel. Like I said, none of, before that, maybe a couple guys played in WBC, but half of our team, that was the first time that they had to represent, Israel on the baseball stage. And, no one's really, maybe a couple guys played on some USA teams, but no one's really represented a whole country, let alone a country that, not many of us really knew about. So it was just great to see a group of guys come together and just kind of, have one common goal and just come out, on top. It's unbelievable. There's only 5 other teams in baseball for the Olympics. So it's hard to say it's a dream come true because honestly, I never really dreamt about going to the Olympics, especially for, Team Israel. But, here we are. And, I'm excited for what the moving forward. Obviously, it's a shame of the situation going on, but I mean, like I tell everybody, just another year that we get to prepare. So we should be, just be another year stronger and, get another year to, know the new guys and just kind of come together. Hopefully once all this, mess settles down, we'll be able to meet, start training again. And then, I think we have just as good a shot as anybody else in the Olympics. It just kind of comes down to who wants it more. And right now, I don't think anybody wants it more than us. So appreciate you guys listening to my story. And I would like to pass it over back to Rob.
Thanks, Jake. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. Jake, who are the other teams that Team Israel will be playing in the Olympics?
So right now we have Japan, who is the host country, so they automatically got in. You got Team Israel, Korea, and Mexico. So there's only 4 teams right now. The other qualifiers were supposed to be sometime now or in June, but they're getting pushed back to who knows when. Maybe Peter knows more about that, but right now it's just those 4 teams.
Okay.
The other 2 qualifiers are, there's the Americas qualifier, which is the US and Canada, Dominican Republic, Mexico, not Mexico, Mexico is in, but Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba, 1 team will come from there. And the 2nd and 3rd place teams will go to Taiwan, where there'll be those 2 teams, Taiwan, China, Netherlands, and Australia. And 1 team will come from there. And that will be, it was supposed to be in April. Who knows when it will be now.
Peter, what do you think the impact of the postponement till next year will have on Team Israel? Do you expect any of your players, won't be able to continue and be on that team in 2021?
I'll tell you some of our players are retired. Guys like Danny Valencia, like Ian Kinsler, like Nick Rickles are retired from baseball. And I asked them that question about a month ago. I asked all of those guys who are not playing baseball currently if they'll be ready in another year from now or another 15 months from now. And they all said, oh yeah, we're ready, we're working out. Danny Valencia is going to go to Australia. He's going to play in the Winter League in Australia there. And other guys are going to do other things to stay ready. They're all going to be ready. None of them want to lose this opportunity. They'll also be another year older. So, we have an older team. We have a couple of opportunities for other guys to come on, like I did with Ian Kinsler. There really is nobody else who might retire this year, who might be an additional good person and superstar on that team. Maybe Ryan Braun, if Ryan Braun, I'm not so sure if he's going to retire or not, but that might be a possibility of having him make aliyah. But basically, this is the team that said they've got another year to get ready. We have another year to fundraise. Very important for us to fundraise for the fields that we want to build in Israel. So now we have an extra year. They have another year to be an Olympians. I would have loved it to be this summer, but what can you do?
And Jake, what do you have a day job, and where are you living now, and what are you going to be doing for the next year?
So that's a great question. I ask myself that every day. But currently, I'm living with my mom in Ardmore. I had a couple part-time jobs before all this mess, and in the meantime, I'm actually studying for my real estate license, and kind of just trying to get ahead on that, and just trying to look for what my next job will be in the next couple months. But as everyone else, I'm in a terrible situation, so just trying to make the best of it.
It's tough time.
Most of our players, except for the ones who are retired, the others are all either in independent baseball or in minor league baseball. So very few of them are working right now. They're all trying to stay in shape. Actually, in another hour, I have a Zoom call with all the players. Every Thursday, we have a Zoom call together. A couple of them are doing all kinds of clinics online. Ryan Lavarnway, if anybody wants it on Facebook, he has a great catchers clinic that he does. But that's what guys are doing. They're just getting on Zoom, talking to each other, trying to stay in shape. Hopefully baseball will be back in June, July. Hopefully that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, people are starting to watch, the Korean baseball, just to have some sports to watch here in the U.S. So
actually here in Israel, this week the kids started practicing once again this week here in Israel. So you've got, obviously keeping 6 feet apart, bringing your own equipment. You have to sterilize, clean the balls all the time, and make sure that, and not more than 10 kids on the field at once. But 4 of our Olympians have come back to Israel. 4 of our guys, 2 of them were studying in the States, another one who was working. They're back in Israel here, so they're here, and they're together with the Olympians going to Wingate, which is the National Olympic Complex in Israel, and they're working out in Wingate with the other Olympians here in Israel.
Great. Who are your baseball, if this is for both of you, who are your baseball inspirations? Who was your baseball hero growing up?
Jake.
I'll start. So obviously being from Philly, I'm a huge Phillies fan. So growing up, Chase Utley's always been my favorite player. We actually named our dog Utley. So, that's the 2008 World Series. I was actually at Game 5 when they won. So, that's probably one of the best baseball memories I've ever had until qualifying for the Olympics. So I definitely have to say Chase Utley was my favorite player. Still is.
Well, you can see I'm a little bit older, so I grew up in New York. So I grew up as a New York Mets fan. There's 2 things that I say happened in my life that put me to where I am today. One was in 1967. I came to Israel 2 weeks after the 6-Day War. My parents are from Europe, and a lot of my family was in Israel, so we came to Israel for the summer, 2 weeks after the 6-Day War for the whole summer, and Israel was incredible. It was an incredible experience. It was euphoria in Israel. For the first time, we went to Jerusalem, to Ramallah, to Bethlehem, to Hebron. We went to all these places. And then 2 years later, when I was 12 years old, the New York Mets won the World Series. So I know we don't get along very well with the Philadelphia fans or the Philly fans, but my favorite team is the Mets, and Tom Seaver was my favorite player, and can take it from there.
Very good. Sam, do we have any questions from anyone in the audience, or?
You can hear.
Oh, thank you so much. We've got one question that just came from the audience that I'll ask right now. And this is Peter and Jake for you both. What is the impact of the great success of Team Israel on the country as a whole? Can you speak to that a little bit?
As I mentioned before, when I got back from the WBC in 2017, I got back from Japan, very enthusiastic, very high and everything, on a real high. And I came back and I was sure the whole country was going to be talking about baseball. And unfortunately, nobody was. Some of the sports people were talking about it, knew about it, but the general public did not know much about it at all. Now things were different. We came back in September. A lot more people were talking about it. There have been quite a few articles in the newspapers, in the Hebrew press. There's a lot of articles in the English press. But in the Hebrew press, there were some articles about the team. There were full-page spreads. There was a nice article about a player a couple of weeks ago. So there's more publicity around it. More kids are coming out to when we had it in January and February, more kids came out to our teams in different areas in Israel. So we had more attention being paid to us. And that's why I'm saying, as we get closer to the Olympics, there's no doubt that there'll be a lot more publicity. As I mentioned, this is the first Israeli team to be in the Olympics in 40 years. So there is a lot of buildup around it. The players were in Israel in January. They were here all together in Israel in January for a couple of weeks. I hope to bring them also in the wintertime to Israel to do clinics. Whenever a player comes, Ian Kinsler couldn't get away from the field. 2 hours before his flight, he was still in the field in the Baptist village in Petah Tikva, giving a clinic for the kids, and his wife had to tear him away to take him to the airport. So they all come, they all give clinics and everything. But I'm really hoping when we come back with a medal, and I'm not saying which medal, we come back with a medal around our necks, then you'll see 3 months later, doubling and tripling of the amount of kids playing baseball here in Israel, especially with the 2 new fields that we're going to be building.
If I could just add one more thing to that, I mean, I can't really talk on the general public per se of the impact, but just the impact it had on the kids, who played baseball in Israel is huge. Like Peter said, the whole team came back in January, and I lived there for the year before we made it to the Olympics, but I went home after that. So coming back for the first time in January and seeing the kids' faces light up, like, yeah, they all knew me before, but they just knew me as Coach Jake or whatever. Now they they saw me as Jake the Olympian, and they had guys like Danny Valenti who played in the MLB for 10 years. Like they finally have players to look up to, like who played for Israel, which I don't think they had before.
By the way, also the U18 team, which was so successful, in some ways the U18 team for me is much more of a success than the Olympic or the WBC team, because again, those are kids who grew up here in Israel. But those guys are looking to be in the next Olympics. It's not going to be in 2024 because there's not going to be baseball in the Olympics in 2024 in Paris, but in 2028 in Los Angeles, these guys are looking to be part of that Olympic team. So they all have something to strive for and something to look for, which is important. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you, Peter and Jake, spending your time with us today. It was absolutely terrific to hear from you, and we look forward to next year's Olympics, and I'm sure you're going to have an enormous following from JNF and from the Jewish community all across the diaspora. So we'll be looking for tickets, of course. And I want to turn the program over to Chad Holtzman now. Take it away, Chad.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for spending your afternoon with us. I'm Chad Holtzman, the National Vice President for JNF Future, the Young Professionals Group of JNF. A special thank you to Peter Kurz, the manager of Project Baseball, and Jake Rosenberg, Team Israel outfielder and Philly native. We really enjoyed hearing your stories today, and thanks for spending the time with us. As a supporter of JNF's Project Baseball, I've been able to see firsthand how Project Baseball fosters teamwork, strengthens communities, and helps promote sportsmanship in Israel, and especially with the youth over there. It's a great organization, and I urge you to get involved. One of the great things about sports is it bonds all of us. And we all miss those games right now. And I know Peter just said he's a Mets fan, and I'm from Philadelphia like Jake, and I'm a Phillies fan. And rivalries are what makes sports great. But one team that we can all support is Team Israel. And so if you're able to do so, we know this is challenging times, and if you're in a position to do so, consider donating to Project Baseball. Reach out to Samantha at JNF to see how you can get more involved. And also, JNF is doing great programming every week. I'll just give you the two that I'm excited for, and then reach out for Samantha for additional stuff. But first, we have the JNF's Chief Israel Officer, Eric Michelson, on May 13th. And on May 19th, JNF's Chief Israel Emissary, Tali Tazor, both Zoom. It's going to be great. You'll receive email information, but don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And that's it. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.